The book of the prophet Micah. Micah lived in a small town named Moreshet in the southern kingdom of Judah, about the same time as Isaiah. And both the northern and southern kingdoms of Israel had split long ago, and both had been violating their covenant with the God of Israel. So Micah warned that God would bring the big bad empire of Assyria to take out the northern kingdom and come ravage Jerusalem. And he also warned that after them, Babylon would bring an even greater destruction. Like all the prophets, Micah spoke on God's behalf to accuse Israel, or as he puts it in chapter 3, I am filled with strength, with the Spirit of God, with justice and power to declare how Israel has rebelled. And so, most of this book explores Micah's accusations and his warnings of God's judgment on Israel. But Micah also had a message of hope that countered these warnings about the restoration God would bring on the other side of his judgment. And if you dive into the book with us, you'll see how this works. So the first two sections of the book develop Micah's accusations and warnings against Israel and its leaders. So part 1 opens with the poetic description of God appearing over Israel, just like he did at Mount Sinai. There's fire and smoke and earthquake. But he hasn't come to make a covenant this time. He's come to bring his judgment on Israel for over 500 years of rebellion. Micah goes on to name all of these towns and cities in Israel that are the culprits of all of this rebellion. God's coming for them. But why exactly? So Micah picks a fight with Israel's leaders. He says that they've become wealthy through theft and greed. He alludes to the story of Ahab stealing a family vineyard from Naboth in 1 Kings chapter 21. But also it's because Israel's prophets are corrupt. They're quite happy to offer promises of God's protection to anyone who can afford to pay them. No, Micah says, God has withdrawn his protection from Israel. In the second section of accusations, Micah describes even more how Israel's leaders and prophets have together committed grave injustice. They run the land through bribery, they bend justice to favor the wealthy, and the poor are deprived of their land, their security, and their hope. And all of this is a violation of the laws of the Torah, which declare it illegal to sell land that belongs to families, even if they're poor. And so we find out that God's judgment is going to take the form of an oppressive nation that comes to take out the northern kingdom and Jerusalem and its temple, which will be reduced to ruins. Now these are very stiff warnings, and they're not the final word. Each of these warning sections is concluded with a striking promise of hope. So first is a poem about how God is like a shepherd who's going to rescue and regather his flock, which is the remnant of his people, and he's going to bring them all back to good pasture and become their king once more. The second warning section is concluded by picking up this image of the ruined Jerusalem temple. And Micah says this won't be permanent. One day God is going to exalt his temple. He's going to fill it with his presence and fill the city with the remnant of his people. And so God's purpose is to make Israel the meeting place of heaven and earth, so that all nations will stream to Jerusalem, where God becomes the king of all the nations, bringing peace to the earth. Now, these two concluding poems of hope, they're very powerful. In the next section of the book actually develops them further in a beautifully designed series of poems that are entirely about the future hope of Israel and the nations. So we learn that after the Assyrian attack, Israel will be conquered and exiled to Babylon. But from there, God will restore his people and bring them back to their land. And then we learn that in the New Jerusalem, a new messianic king from the line of David will come. He'll be born in Bethlehem and then rule in Jerusalem over the restored people of God. Finally, in this messianic kingdom of God, the faithful remnant of God's people will become that blessing among the nations. But at the same time, God will bring his final justice and remove evil from his world. The final section of the book returns to this pattern of warning followed by hope that we saw in the first parts of the book. So Micah exposes again the unjust economic practices of Israel's leaders and how it's destroying the land and its people. And here Micah offers his famous words that summarize what it means for Israel to follow their God. He has told you, O human, what is good, and what the Lord requires of you, to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. This is exactly what Israel has not been doing, and so they will come to ruin. However, the book ends with another powerful note of hope. Israel is personified as an individual who's sitting alone in shame and defeat. It's a clear image of Israel's destruction and exile. And this individual is watching for God's mercy, and he begs God to listen and forgive. But why? Why should God listen to and forgive this faithless and rebellious people? Well, the poet offers two reasons. First, he says, because of God's character. Who is a God like you, who forgives sin and pardons rebellion? He knows that God's mercy is more powerful than his anger or his judgment. And the second reason is because of God's promises. He says, you will stay true to Jacob and show covenant love to Abraham as you swore so long ago. Now, these are the final words of the book. They're an allusion to God's covenant promises to Abraham and his family all the way back in the book of Genesis, that all nations would find God's blessing through Abraham's family. But to become a blessing to the nations, Israel must first be faithful to their God. And so this explains this back and forth between judgment and hope in the book of Micah. If God's going to bless the nations through Israel, then he must confront and judge the evil among his people. But his judgment is what leads to hope, because God's covenant love and promise are more powerful than human evil, and his ultimate purpose is not to destroy, it's to save and redeem. Or as the concluding lines of the book put it, God delights in covenant love, so he will again show compassion. He will trample our evil. He will toss our sins into the depth of the sea. And that's what the book of Micah is all about.
All right, takeaway, my friend. Takeaway? All right, so we'll just recap then. So here at this part, Jerusalem and Samaria. And it looks like northern Israel is still there. So there's a time when both nations are still up and running. So, what is happening? What corruption is happening at this time? Money. Yeah, money, not like letting people starve, using the church to keep your status, keep your money status. And so there's this hope of like, here are these shepherds, these people who should be shepherding them to righteousness, are using their power to hold on the power and to to squeeze out the poor. But then here's is looking forward to who will shepherd the remnant of his people. He'll bring them to living water, trees of life, Eden, right? Water, tree, clear Eden referencing. And then here is a back to another thing that's going on. And so now, like, there is land that is being like, they're like straight up breaking the covenant agreement. They're straight up breaking the covenant agreement of not selling land. You do not sell another family's land, even if they're poor. You do not. Just don't.
That bad.
And so, I mean, like literally kicking out to have no place to live. Yeah, it's straight up not kicking them out. Yeah. And so here Micah says disaster is coming, but then even though it'll become a hollow haunt, there's a new Jerusalem, who is actually done through King Jesus, where King Jesus is bringing, and we can say that now after Jesus' death and resurrection, he is bringing the nations, where the status, we choose righteousness, we choose forgiveness, we choose giving, always laying down our power for the other, and there will be a future when all wrong is dealt with. Nice. Okay. I need you to put some maybe shorter pants on then, okay? We have company, that's why B. All right. All right. And then here, yeah, we talked about the injustice and about the coming king who will confront the evils. Where there is, through Jesus' death and resurrection, there are moments of refreshment. But we also look towards a future refreshment when all these promises are realized. All right, you guys ready to read? All right. Amos chapter 7. I'll pray. King Jesus, you're amazing. Thank you that we can, we're in relative safety. We don't have to be too worried about our leaders because all like kicking us out because of our social economic status. Like, yes, life is tough, but we can also remember we have food, we have water, we have access to these wonderful books. This is truly, we're living in what people back then would have dreamed of. This is what they will think of euphoria. But yet, there's still injustice that run rampant. There are still people who go hungry. So we just pray that your kingdom comes, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. May your rule happen now, King Jesus, to deal with the injustice. Deal with the injustice also in me and all of us. May we declare allegiance to you because there is no one better who rectifies all evil. Amen. That's for multi-stream chat. So if I want to read chat from multi-stream. I have multiple streams going on through. That's what I have that for. Is I don't need that because I have that. All right. Mm-hmm. The Lord, Amos chapter 7, 1 through 17. So, Amos is a lot like pretty much most of the other prophets' writings where they have done bad, which is kind of like our book. They have done bad. Yahweh's like, because Yahweh's default is mercy. He always wants to flood us with life. But because of compromise in evil can't be, he can't be like the parent who the kid just keeps on punching the neighbor kids, like bullying the kids. And like, he's not like, he can't be like a parent like, oh, okay, that's just Jimmy. That's just Jimmy. He can't be, she's just complicit. Like, he's not complicit parents. He can't, the God of the Bible, has to answer evil. He can't, it's like it's long suffering mercy. He will like give us like the God of the Bible has lots of patience and is always wanting us to come close to rule like he rules by through love, mercy, and justice. But there's a point where Yahweh has to go, all right, enough is enough. And so that's what we're seeing here is enough is enough. Pretty much locust swarms, war, like you're going to be destroyed, but then there's also hope of when Yahweh comes, a good king runs the world, and where life happens in abundant for everyone, not just for the privilege. So Lord Yahweh showed me this. There, he was forming a locust swarm at the beginning of the growth of the spring crop. There, the spring crop after the king's reaping. When it had finished consuming the grass in the country, I said, Lord Yahweh, do pardon. How can Jacob stand because it's small? Yahweh relented about this and will happen, Yahweh said. The Lord Yahweh showed me this. There he was summoning contention by fire. It consumed the great deep and it was consuming the farmland. I said, Lord Yahweh, do spare. How can Jacob stand because it's small? Yahweh relented about this. It won't happen either. The Lord Yahweh said. He showed me this. There, the Lord was standing by a lead weight wall, and in his hand was a lead weight. Yahweh said to me, How are you looking at, Amos? I said, a lead weight. The Lord said, here I am. I'm going to put a lead weight in the midst of my people Israel. I shall not again pass over it again. Isaac's high places will be desolate. Israel's sanctuaries will be laid waste. I shall rise against Jeroboam household with the sword. So Jeroboam is right now, this is northern Israel. He's the one who actually, he straight up took someone's land by killing it, killing the person on it. Like super, like, and that was like, that kind of injustice is happening all the time. So Amaziah, priest of Bethel, sent to Jeroboam, king of Israel, to say, Amos has plotted against you within Israel's household. The country cannot put up with all his words. Because Amos has said this. So he's being a prophet saying, this is what Yahweh is saying. And so this guy is like, who's a priest, who's also like taking in a lot of the corruption money. He's like, Amos is saying all these things against you and the people because of their compromise. So this is what he's saying to the king. Because Amos has said this, Jeroboam will die by the sword. Israel go into exile away from its soil. But Amaziah said to Amos, Seer, go flee for your life to the country of Judah. Eat bread there, prophesy there. Don't prophesy again in Bethel anymore, because it's the king's sanctuary. It's the kingdom's house. Amos answered Amaziah, I wasn't a prophet, and I wasn't a prophet's son. Rather, I was a cattleman and a dresser of sycamore figs. So the guy's like, dude, run away. But Amos like, dude, I wasn't like from a family, like I don't come from a family of prophets. I was literally a cattleman, working the land. But Yahweh took me from following the flock, and Yahweh said to me, go prophesy to my people Israel. Now listen to Yahweh's message. You're saying, you shall not prophesy against Israel. You shall not preach against Isaac's household. Therefore Yahweh has said this, your wife will whore in the city. Your sons and daughters will fall by the sword. Your land will be appointed by measuring line. You yourselves will die on unclean soil. Israel go into exile away from its soil. During his 20 years in prison, the man I mentioned in connection with Amos 5 appeared before several parole boards asking for parole and was turned down. Although he was sentenced before the passing of a law that made it possible to commit people to life without the possibility of parole, he lived those years with the lifer's assumption that when I die, they'll send me home. But the priest who got to know him and saw him change in prison eventually helped him make another request, and against all his expectation, it was granted. It's possible to think about prayer the way such a person thinks about the parole board. You go through the motion of asking for something, but some assume that God and his parole board decided long ago what was going to happen. So do you know what a parole board is? You know what a parole board is? So when people go into prison, they can, and their sentence, let's say life in prison. And so a parole board, you can, like, if you show like you are becoming you're becoming a citizen, you're becoming someone who's not about the life that they were before, you show like actual change, you can go to a parole board and ask, hey, can I have my sentence lightened? And so then you could be released early. That's what a parole board does. Huh? Not so much, not so much escape.
Like ask.
It's more of asking for mercy for the compromise that you were found guilty for. You're asking for mercy and saying, I have changed. Can I please give it another chance? I have no idea. I don't know.
I don't even want to know.
Because already to be in a place where you have to ask the parole board, you have to be someone who's committed a heinous enough crime where you're in long enough, where you're hoping the parole board will give you mercy. And so now, so they talked about a prisoner before, and now this prisoner has gone to the parole board, has been told multiple times, nope. But then now this priest who has been like walking with him, calling him to Yahweh, calling him towards a new change, has helped him apply again, and then by the grace of Christ, he actually was accepted parole. Means he was able to leave prison early. He was probably he was most likely sentenced to life in prison. Oh, definitely. Not because that means you have to commit a heinous crime to be sent to be sent along. Unless you're like innocent and yet you're found guilty, but then you just leave it in Yahweh. You just leave in Yahweh's hands because that. Yep. Thanks be to Christ that He has lived a life that was a life for death and now a life for life. Like that's what we want for everyone. It's to no longer be a life for death, but a life for life. And who is the author of life? Jesus. So he like is truly he following him gives you the framework, the worldview, the paradigm to be for a life for a life. And that's why we choose to disciple ourselves under him and then be in communities that are about him. All right. It's possible to think, and so now he's like saying how a lot of times we see prayer. It's possible to think about prayer the way such a person thinks about the parole board. So like a guy's so like sometimes people think that we go to pray and then Yahweh, who's like on the parole board, is like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to like grant it or not. Which is you go through the motion of asking for something, but assume that God and his parole board decided long ago what was going to happen. Really, your appeal is not going to make a difference. Is prayer designed to change us, not to change God? Is prayer designed to change us, not to change God? Of course, God in himself doesn't change, but the Bible is clear that God can have a change of mind, particularly about bringing judgments. And that's what we read, right? Is there's multiple judgments that Yahweh was about to afflict, but then Amos, being a righteous intercessor, is like, can your people survive after this? And Yahweh relents. So God's cabinet is indeed like a parole board operating on the old rules. When parole was possible for any prisoner, indeed, it practically invites people to apply for parole. So God lets Amos see a frightening disaster that could come on the country in the form of locust plague that could eat up the crops and leave it with no food. God's giving this revelation to Amos presupposes that a prophet is someone who stands between the cabinet and the people. He represents the cabinet to the people by telling them of the cabinet's expectations and decisions, and represents the people to the cabinet by making appeals on their behalf. He appeals, God relents. Again, is God operating out of wrathful and vengeance, or does he operate mostly out of mercy and just love and just wants to bring people in? The second vision pictures a devastating fire. In the third, a lead weight wall. This is I'm going to learn. I was so confused by a lead weight wall. So in the third, a lead weight wall is presumably a wall built with the aid of a lead weight attached to a cord to check that the wall is vertical. But Hebrew can use the word to mean a lead weight in the sense of a heavy burden. Yahweh intends to pose a weight of trouble on the people, including the slaughter of Jeroboam's kingly line. So again, this is Jeroboam who slaughtered, like his injustice rule is going to be done away with. Amos will shortly report a fourth vision, but the reference to Jeroboam prompts the addition here of an account of how Amos became a prophet. He had evidently delivered this warning at the sanctuary at Bethel. Like other prophets, he'd be preaching there in its courtyards, but he was delivering a quite different message from theirs. So like their prophets are like, yeah, Yahweh's with us. Oos. And then Amos like, he's
No,
not.
you're not.
He's not with you. You guys are all compromising. Your people are going to die by your compromise. And they're like, oh no. Let's go kill this prophet. And he was delivering this message in the state sanctuary, a place like the National Cathedral of Westminster Abbey. So, National Cathedral is like the big Catholic cathedral, and the Westminster Abbey for, Anglican. It's like the big, like, they're like just, they're the place. They're like big national religious sites, which have nothing. So he's doing like pretty much national. Look it up so you guys know like how. National Cathedral. Char, please, my friend. So this is a National Cathedral. Actually, is it Catholic? Yeah. Never mind. It's in Washington. It's in Washington D.C. Oh, I'm a silly goose. Yeah. So this is my left click. Yep. I'm such a silly goose. So yeah. So this is like. So imagine this guy coming here, and this is like in Washington D.C. This is like the state capital. This is like where the president and stuff go, and Senate, things like that. Imagine Amos goes,
Yeah, you're doing great.
"You're getting destroyed. You're getting boomed because of compromises." Or here, this is the Westminster Abbey. This is part of it. Westminster. There we go. Oh, Westminster Dog Show. There we go. So imagine, and this is like, this will speak to England because this is like the big church. Like this guy coming here and speaking about like the king, the and saying, you guys' compromises have like, so you guys see like how big of a deal him coming here and delivering this message. So while Bethel has a history going back to Jacob in Genesis, Bethel and Dan were the two sanctuaries in the far south and the far north of Ephraim that were set up by Jeroboam's namesake when he established Ephraim as a state. You can't deliver a message of this kind in a state sanctuary. Someone from Judah especially can't do that kind of thing. One has a bit of sympathy for Amaziah, who knows he has to report what's going on, but also tries to persuade Amos to get out of here. We don't know whether Amos did so. Amos has no sympathy for him. He believes that someone in Amaziah's position has to make a choice, not try to have it both ways. Amaziah will pay a terrible price for failing to respond to Amos' message. He and his family will be swallowed up in the coming catastrophe. Amaziah treats Amos as if he's like any other prophet, who is like a preacher or pastor. Being a prophet is his job. He's supported by the community for his work. So Amaziah urges Amos to return to his own country to earn his living. Prophecies of Yahweh's judgment on Ephraim will be more popular there. But Amos isn't that kind of prophet. Saying he was not the son of a prophet means he has not been to prophetic school. He isn't the disciple of another prophet. There's nothing wrong with being such a disciple. Elisha was Elijah's disciple, and he himself had disciples. Amos is a different kind of prophet. All right, we talked enough. We can start, my friends. No, it's because how this game works. No, it's not that. It's what happens is when I turn off the screen, it changes the screen numbers for this game. And so then I have to manually set which screen for it to be on.
watchers. Acting as guards. Eclipse, just like he said.
Forged Earth Delvers made off with any riches long ago, but not the ancients buried in the ground. What the?
They know I'm here now. No more time to recover. Just stay out of their way for now. Snow. It's not getting any warmer out here. All these ruins. What did the old ones do here? introduce. Calm, calm.
This is it.
Go up here. Might prove a challenge.
Where she went.
Haven't you got anything better to do?
Be right back.
have they been uncovering here?
Rope burning frost black, chopping at hard ground.
An explosion. Another explosion.
Rotate turret! And fire! All weapons operational. Time to get it moving, and be quick about it. No daydreaming.
Soon this is another death bringer to
easier when I was a kid. Did it. Those things pack a punch. All right. That Eclipse officer had a... Let's see what you have to say. What is this?
The entity lives. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
What the hell was that? Hades? Hey! Mysterious stranger, did you see that? No answer. I need to find a way inside the tower.
Hold for identiscan.
One of these again.
Genetic profile confirmed. Entry authorized. Greetings, Dr. Sobek. Please step inside.
Better watch for machine lights through the trees.
Dr. Sobek, you are 355,510 days overdue for your meeting with Mr. Fairley. Please proceed to the 35th floor.
Wait. 350,000. That's hundreds of years ago. What's going on?
Protocols use polyphasic entangled waveforms, quantum encryption, black quartz stuff, way beyond military grade. That's what you demanded, so that's what we delivered.
You don't code something you can't crack. All we need is a backdoor. Upload the latest service pack update and the problem goes away.
You specifically forbade us from leaving anything resembling a backdoor in code. Every protocol to black quartz standard. Your words. Look. If you need me to fudge some projections, it's nothing we haven't done before.
I don't need fudged projections. I need a way to reassert control over the Heart's Timor swarm.
I don't know what to tell you, Ted. You're asking the impossible.
So, codes. They needed codes of some kind to control the machines. But they got out of control. Sounds bad. statue of one, anyway. A machine built to kill. And they honored it?
Welcome to Faro Automated Solutions, where all the problems of tomorrow are being solved today. With over 25,000 human employees based in nations and corporate holdings across the globe, Faro leads the world in every sector of self-sustaining, fully automated technology. From revolutionary consumer products close to home, like the Faro Focus, to the dynamic chariot line of peacekeeping robots halting bloodshed in conflict zones across the globe, Faro remains committed to making the future smarter, brighter, safer, and always surprising. Faro Automated Solutions. For every problem of life, a smart solution.
So they made the Focus. 25,000 people? That's bigger than a tribe. So they made machines and... devices. I guess those things were common in their world.
Welcome to Faro Automated Solutions, where all the problems of tomorrow are being solved today. With over 25,000 human employees based in...
What was this place? What were they doing here?
It was a corporation. A group of people not unlike a tribe. And they made machines.
Yeah, go on.
I've uploaded some data files to your Focus. They'll help you understand.
You're hacking.
Now, I know this must seem like a bizarre change in direction. I mean, we're Faro Automated Solutions, right? #1 robotics firm in the world. Why would we clear our production slate to fabricate human-operated vehicles and weapon systems, the relics of the past? All I can say at this juncture is... trust me. We will be exploiting a massive, growth opportunity by retooling and reallocating capacity according to my plan. So I will need revised projections of mass fabrication velocity across every pipeline within 36 hours.
So they were making machines, then they stopped to make other kinds of weapons? Why? The air. There's no smell to it, not even old death. Nothing natural. Another cave-in. But I could get through. Looks like I can climb here. And I can use that as a ramp to get back up. So people were angry at Faro, at the corporation. They blamed this place for something. Something bad.
The FSP-5 Kopesh provides a one-size-fits-all solution to main battle force capability. Metamaterial construction delivers unmatched recoil dampening, allowing you to field any weapon package that conforms to your budget needs and conflict resolution profile. Patented biomass conversion systems allow extended emergency operations with minimal environmental impact. Multilinear target processing provides simultaneous real-time threat analysis and legal review for autonomous domestic operations. Or control can be slaved to the swarm's neural network for weapons-free force application. Either way, when it's time to call out the big guns, it's time to call Kopesh.
The Deathbringer. So this was the heavy hitter. Main battle force indeed.
The BOR-7 Horus. Imagine your complete engagement ecosystem comprehensively managed by a high-speed learning machine network. Whether your need is to replace battlefield losses or intensify force projection, the Horus's onboard manufacturing capabilities mean you'll never get stuck waiting for the next arms delivery. Simply redefine your force parameters, and the Horus will fabricate additional units to fill the ranks for an affordable per-unit licensing fee. Meanwhile, the biomass conversion systems of other chariot line models allow them to keep the Horus fueled, repaired, and ready, extending its operational tolerances beyond that of any competing Titan-class platform. That's the Horus advantage. Always regulating, always ready. The future of automated warfare made real today.
The Metal Devil. So these were farm machines too. Manufacturing capabilities. They can make more of themselves. Then how would you ever stop them?
The ACA-3 Scarab combines conventional and information warfare capabilities in one package. Designed for high-speed, all-terrain reconnaissance. It boasts the world's highest survivability rating of any Scout-class autonomous agent. Maybe it's the Scarab's emergency biomass conversion systems that ensure it always makes it back to base, even if fuel supply lines have been interdicted. Or maybe it's the Scarab's ability to slave enemy robots to its own network. Now that's force multiplication. Add a prehensile manipulator arm that can handle a host of functions. From 360-degree less lethal riot management to surgical repairs of allied chariot line models. And you've got the workhorse of any cutting-edge peacekeeping fleet.
The Corruptor. Slave enemy robots to its own network. It sounds like it's talking about how it corrupts machines. Looks like the way up. What's left of it. Gonna be a long way up. Frozen metal most of the way. Not making this easy, Dr. Sobek. If plants can find a way to hang on up here, guess I can too. Forget the cold. Think of the sun on your skin.
That began when they engaged in unauthorized offensive operations against robots and human personnel of the Hearts Timor Energy Combine. Now, I wish that I could relate that the crisis has been exaggerated, but it's not. The Peacekeepers have not responded to stand-down codes, and by all signs, they appear to be replicating at a precipitous rate. Now, what I can promise you, can absolutely assure you, is that I am already devoting every possible resource towards reaching a speedy conclusion to this issue. So when you hear the bad talk about us against this company in the days, maybe weeks to come, just bear in mind that we will get past this. And a day's coming when none of this will matter.
Peacekeepers. That's what they called their machines. They were built for war, not peace.
got none. Upward.
The way up. All it takes is a few good handholds. Good meat. All right, made it. Wonder what we'll find.
Up.
All data has been erased from this device. Do you wish to deploy alpha privileges to recover?
All right, boys. In about 3 minutes, we're at time though.
Oh, yes, I believe I do.
A file has been recovered.
What am I playing? I'm playing the robot game. It's a robot game.
Dad is a
Oh yeah?
It's so tiny, you can't really see it.
Like your tooth has a hole?
Nope, it just, I think it's around this.
I think mommy's calling you.
What?
Elizabeth, good to, it's been years.
Where's your legal team, Ted?
No need. I dropped all 18 lawsuits the moment you landed.
Huh? Yeah, so we have to do long form game. There's one section of reading. Yeah, depending how fast it takes us.
I assume your data confirms this.
All right, this promises to be interesting.
Perhaps we could have lunch brought in. You know, get reacquainted.
I know you, Ted. You screwed something up, something big, or you wouldn't have eaten the crow necessary to get me here. So spit it out.
There's a glitch in the chariot line.
Your killer robots?
Peacekeepers, yes, those.
So shut them down.
Obviously, Liz, we would, if we could. They're not responding.
Are you telling me a swarm has gone rogue, Ted?
It's worse than that.
Show me the data then. And I'll take that lunch. Alone.
Ted Faro brought Elizabeth Sobek here, but they hated each other.
Another file has been recovered.
This isn't a glitch. It's a catastrophe.
Fully aware. It's bad.
Bad?
Jesus, Liz.
It's not bad, Ted. It's apocalyptic. You built a line of killer robots
Peacekeepers.
that consume biomass as fuel,
In emergencies.
and you made them capable of self-replication.
Limited, self-manufacture, controlled.
Not anymore. The glitch severed chain of command. The only nation this swarm answers to now is itself.
You think I did?
Everything else is just food. And at the rate it's replicating, Ted, it will strip the Earth bare in 15 months. We're not talking fall of civilization. We're talking extinction.
I get it, Liz. So how do I stop it while it's contained?
It's not contained. It can't be.
You know what I mean?
Right. Before the truth gets out, you mean?
Liz, I will do anything you say. Keep working it, and whatever you recommend, I'll do.
I'm gonna hold you to that, Ted.
The Faro robots threatened all life on Earth, but somehow she defeated them. The world of the old ones fell, but life went on.
You don't have time for another. We're at time. All right, Broheim. After you defeat those NPCs, we got to go through step, okay? All right, so it's more just capture that point. You just have to capture that point. You just keep coming. All right, I guess you... Oh, too late now. All right. How long does it take to capture a point? Okay.
Or we wouldn't be here.
A final file has been recovered.
Project Zero Dawn. Jesus, Liz.
Here go. Yeah. Go ahead.
There has to be another way.
If there are... nicer way to fix your mess, I would have proposed it.
But this? This? When I asked
Alright,
you
Char.
to find a cure,
Looks like you got the checkpoint.
If you want to hop in a cable right now, it's just like right here, and it'll take a second to load in. Wait, go back, go back, go back, go back.
I didn't expect it to be worse than the disease.
It's not, Ted. It may be grim, but it's our only chance. Now sign the proposal.
Sign it? I can't sign that.
Yes, you can.
That? Liz, I cannot in good conscience sign that.
You've got a choice, Ted.
I know.
I'm speaking to you from a VTOL en route to U.S. Robot Command. In 15 minutes, I meet with General Harris and the rest of the Joint Chiefs.
What? Are you crazy?
Now your choice is what I tell them. Sign, and I'll tell them the wealthiest corporation on Earth has guaranteed the funds necessary to build Zero Dawn. Exactly as I've designed it. Or don't sign, and I will make sure they and everyone else on this planet knows the real cause of the glitch.
Jesus, Liz.
Ready.
You don't have to threaten.
Right. Alright, so I have to do a long form game.